Hello! We're bad at board games.
Well, he's bad at board games.
We're bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Today we're going to talk about our first impressions of Brass Birmingham. Number 3 on BGG's all-time greatest games. Number 3 on their list, number 1 in our hearts. Well, maybe not number 1. But, Toph, what do you think about the theme?
I love this game, and I love the theme to this game. For those that are not familiar with Brass Birmingham, it takes place during the Industrial Revolution, so 1770s to 1870s. It takes place in London, and it's over 2 phases. So you actually get to play the game twice, the Canal era, and then all of a sudden you see technologies change, you see technology become obsolete, and the rails come in. And so then you get to play in a new era. You're building industries, you're selling goods, you're building an engine to get your revenue going, and sometimes having to take out loans because you're flat broke. You really do kind of feel like you are playing in the Industrial Revolution, trying to build out London.
Pretty cool. Maybe not as cool as a Marvel superhero Spider-Man movie, but, you know, nothing like coal and iron to really get you going. A couple things that I really did like about the game. The components. Toph got the Deluxe edition from Roxley Games.
Worth it. Completely worth it.
And it's very nice. These chips are real poker chips. The board is really stunning. There's a night side and a day side, and the tableaus that you have and all the cards. I really like the way it looks. I've not seen the other version of Brass, but this one is really striking on the table. I really do like it. What did you think about the gameplay?
The gameplay actually is probably my favorite thing about this game. It fits with the theme, although you could think of it in a little bit different ways depending on how you want to play. But with the gameplay itself, during each of the eras, you are playing cards out of your hand to perform various actions. You might be able to build something in a city. You might be able to go out and build railways or canalways if you're in the beginning of the era. You may have to take out a loan. You may have to give some upgrades, maybe to your tableau to be able to get better industries, better developments onto the board. So the gameplay itself, it actually plays very quick for a heavy Euro game. You are taking 2 actions and then it's going to the next person. So it is a game that once you understand the mechanics and how you play, you can quickly play through the game. I think they rate it somewhere between 90 minutes to about 2 hours, whether you're playing with 2 or all the way up to 4 players. So it scales pretty well in that regard.
Yeah, I would say the most time you're going to have in the game is when it gets to be your turn. You're not going to be ready to just flip down a couple cards. There's going to be something that kind of like, oh, I can't quite do this. I need to think. And you have to think about the turn you're on, the next one, and then possibly even the one after that. And the way I was playing, you try to think of one goal in 3 moves. So that's 6 cards that you're having to play. Every action requires a card. So if you're going to build something, you play a card. If you're going to burn something, you're going to play a card. If you're going to play or get a loan, you need to play a card. So the hand management and how all that interacts with what you're doing really does come into effect and mesh very well together. They say it's a 3.9 weighting on BGG. What do you think? You think that's valid?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. The game is not the heaviest game that we've played. It's probably not the heaviest game that I own in terms of gameplay. It is a game that is relatively simple in what the actions are. So you only have a set number of actions you can take. And once you understand how those actions work, the actual playing of an action is easy. That's not the complication of this game. That's not where the weight value comes in. It is almost a 4 out of 5 complexity because you have to think. You have to plan several turns in advance, and you also have to plan around other people. This is a Euro game. It's going to be kind of solitaire play, but you can sometimes interact with each other. You know, you can only play one of your link tiles, your boat or your train, on a line. And so if there are 2 people competing for an area, you have to factor that into your programming, into your thinking ahead several turns. So yeah, this is not necessarily a heavy game or a heavy weight because of the mechanics. It's a heavyweight game because you have to program your plans, like you were saying with your cards. You might have to go 4, 5, 6 turns in advance and hope that you can still do those actions at that point in time, and that's where it becomes so heavy.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would believe the rating at 3.9, mainly because we've got Great Western Trail. I think that's more complicated than this. However, my brain kind of works this way. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer for a long time, so it's get this to make this to make this to make this. So the mechanic of it, I don't find difficult. Now, there are little nuances, but I found playing this a lot quicker to pick up than Great Western Trail.
Yeah.
So for what it's worth, Great Western Trail is not a hard game. I think this might be a little bit inflated because I think maybe either some people just don't like it, but this isn't Kanban EV or a Lacerda game where I think that's got this level of complexity plus Great Western Trail's amount of different things baked in all into one. Speaking of Great Western Trail, hey, look down below. We've got a link. We review it. It's hilarious. You're going to love it. I really recommend you checking that out. What did you think about that game, Great Western Trail, versus this game in the weight rating?
I unedited right there. I think Great Western Trail is more difficult of a game. We're reviewing 2 games that a lot of people kind of put about the same level of complexity and kind of popularity. They're both coming out. Brass Birmingham is going to be a reprint. Well, Brass Lancashire is a reprint of the original Brass, and then this is a little bit different gameplay, a little bit more complexity in some areas. Great Western Trail just came out with their 2nd edition. Playing them both, especially playing them both back to back, like we are doing this, I think that Great Western Trail is a little bit more difficult than this game. And I think it's because with Great Western Trail, you do have a little bit of programming. You do have to think a little bit in advance. But with Great Western Trail, you have to think about all of the different things that are going on in the board at one time. And so your mind is taking space to think about the trains, space to think about the cows that you have to sell, space to think about, do you want to put out a building or are you going to have to pay to pass an opponent's buildings? With this game, the complexity is your brain having to think up so many moves in advance.
Right.
And so that's where, I think the gameplay is more difficult with Great Western Trail. Both are worth it. Both are going to be at the higher level weight-wise. But I think this is a little bit easier to get started. And maybe that's because you're an engineer. I have a degree in math. Like both of our minds kind of think that way in terms of programming and planning in advance. So maybe, I was blown away the first time we played this. We set it up, we finished gameplay, and it was like, wow, that was nowhere near as difficult as people claim it is based on other reviews.
Yeah, I wouldn't let it scare you off. Now, you can find it for around $100. You found a great deal at $90.
If you get it on the website, the Roxley website, actually the deluxe edition was $90, and so it came in at a pretty good price for this game. If you're looking on Amazon, you might be finding this game for $150 for just the basic version, not the deluxe version. Deluxe version comes with a little bit thicker playing mats and things, but yeah.
All right, so what do we dislike about this game?
Not a lot. My only probably nitpick is that it doesn't play long enough. I need there to be another round. Just, you get your engine going and then the game's done.
You want like a whole nother...
I want another era.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I don't have a lot of dislikes with this game. Now, I want there to be a couple more cards. I don't want another era. It does take about, 45 minutes to an hour to get through one era. The better you get at playing it, it will compress the time because it's really, like I said, it's just those 5 minutes that you're trying to think of, am I doing the right thing before you actually play? 2 actions, right? However, I just want a little bit more. And I think that's one of the great things about a game. Any movie where you want a little bit more, any game where you want a little bit more, or I want a little bit more of that dessert, right? That's kind of where you hit this, and this is probably why it's so highly ranked on BGG. The people who have played it, if you're into this at all, you're gonna like the game.
Yeah.
Likes.
There's too much to talk about. I think we've already talked about a lot of what it is that we like.
Yeah.
I like the thinking games. I want a brain burner. I want to sit down and have to challenge myself to think several turns in advance. I like that there's a little bit of take that, but there's not a lot of take that in the game necessarily. Now, we need to get it to the table with 4 people. We've played it with 3, we've played it with 2. I'd like to see what it looks like with 4 people kind of fighting for the space on the board itself. But that's my favorite thing with it. I also like that it does play pretty quickly. You are only going to play 2 actions at a time, and then the next person is going. And after that round, you're getting income, you're getting ready to play again. So in that regard, it plays very well. I think they also handle debt pretty well. So you lose income levels when you take out a loan. And I think that helps to be able to counteract the fact that you're taking a loan, you're getting money. So yeah, I think they've done very good in that regard.
I think one of the things I like about the whole mechanic of this is the loan system. So you get $30, which is a lot for what you want to do. You lose 3 positions of income, but you can take out the loan, and you will take out the loan in the first era.
Yeah.
But it has that whole capitalistic, you're going to go in debt to start being able to make money.
Yeah.
And you're building things and then you're selling them. When you sell them, that's when you get money. And you get more and more and more. And by the time you're at the end of the game, your income is driving everything else. So I think that's what I like the most about it. You're not sitting there and being like, I can't get any money. The things I'm doing are only giving me $1 or $2, and then you're having to spend 5 turns just trying to build your wealth up enough to then do a few more things. With 1 card, you get $30.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what makes this a fun game, because you're not just killing yourself for 45 minutes to get $2.
Yeah. I also like, and this goes back to the theme, but part of the gameplay is being able to develop the industries that you have to be able to build onto the board itself. And I think that's another good mechanic. With the first era, technologies will become obsolete because you're talking about 50, 60, 70 years in the future from the beginning of that first era. And so you do have this ability to upgrade or develop your industries. And that kind of feels like you are putting better technology into the board. So as an entrepreneur, it kind of feels like you are doing better work, which you should if you're developing through the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. All right. So what everybody really cares about, what did you think about Spider-Man? No, just kidding.
Haven't seen Spider-Man yet.
It's a good movie.
I will. By the time this video posts, hopefully I will have seen it.
I'm going to ask you this question. How would you rate this? Trying to be a little suspenseful versus Great Western Trail.
Yeah, I would put this about a half a step above Great Western Trail.
Okay.
I like the theme better with this, and I like some of the mechanics a little bit better. Both are high, but I like it a little bit better.
I'm just the opposite. Check out that link to find out why, but this is a half step down. So, in my opinion, I gave Great Western Trail a really high number. I'm going to give this one an 8.5. I really like this game. It's definitely one of the best games that I've played. I would recommend everybody kind of see if they can play it, either play it on Tabletop Simulator or play it with somebody or play it at a con before you kind of spend that much money. Or, if you just really want it, go for it.
Yeah.
We're giving it the thumbs up, but where are you ranking it? It's a little bit better.
It's a little bit better. I'm about a half step up. So with Great Western Trail, I gave it an 8.5. 8.5 is what I kind of give that one. This one, I'm giving it a solid 9. And that's about as high as I rank games.
This is the highest. Yeah. So this is your top.
So this is up there with, my absolute top games. And I think same with what Brad said. It's an expensive game. If you like Euros, if you like engine builders, if you like thinking far in advance, then you're probably going to like this game. And so I don't feel bad saying go ahead and pick it up. Go ahead and get it. You could go with the basic version or deluxify it. It just feels so much better to have these good chips and the thicker boards. That's up to you. But I think this is one of the best games that I have in my collection. And I think you'll find the same thing if you pick this game up, if you play it, that it's probably going to be up there at the top of some of the games that you've played as well. Yeah.
Really good reviews. So I hope you enjoyed this. We tried to keep it as succinct and edit free.
Yeah.
We're not going to have any edits in this one.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get some things out and hope you enjoy it. Please hit that like and subscribe.
Yeah, if you have some questions for us, go ahead and comment down below. If you've got questions about gameplay, if you want to see a little bit more of an in-depth review after we get some more games under our belt, we'll be happy to talk a little bit more in depth about our final thoughts as opposed to first impressions.
And let us know, what games do you want us to review? What would you like us to check out? Because between us, we have a lot, and maybe we can give you some information about a game that you're trying to make a decision on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for checking us out. We're Bad at Board Games. Have a great day.
Bye.